for us.
Hello, everyone. So great to see so many of you joining us today. My name is Sarah Wilson. I'm the Executive Director of Uptown United and Uptown Chamber of Commerce. And in the next 57 minutes, I am going to walk through some strategies and tips for getting your business off the ground and storefront ready. So a little bit just quickly about the organizations and who I am and represent. Uptown United is the 501c3 economic development nonprofit organization servicing the Uptown community area on the far north side of the city. And we are also in partnership with the Uptown Chamber of Commerce, which I'm also the executive director of. We are so excited to be turning 101 years old this May 7th. One of the oldest chambers in the city. And our partnership together is working towards a strong, unified business community and ensuring that we maintain and nurture the diverse, vibrant, and thriving, strong Uptown that so many people have come to love. We're super excited to be able to present lessons that we have learned today. We are one of the recipients from the BACP Vacant Storefront Activation Grant. Uptown United is the recipient and has been working diligently over the last 5 months to work with building owners that have vacant storefronts and connecting them with qualified small business owners to pop up in there. The goal of the program is to get our vacant storefronts activated with businesses. And I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. And so I'm here to impart some of the wisdom. This is the brief agenda for today's meeting. As I go along, I encourage you to put questions in the chat. I will do my best to get to them in a timely manner. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about how you plan for it, then the importance of analyzing it, then you have to find it. And so if this is about a storefront, you got to be able to identify where your storefront's going to be. Then importantly, how you prepare for it, and how to avoid the pitfalls. So with that, let's get into plan for it. So you're all here because you have a business, whether you are an existing business that works out of home and you're looking to get into a storefront, or you are in an existing storefront and you're looking to expand. You are all here to learn more about how to get into some sort of commercial space. It's really important to know that once you explore going into commercial space, your business operations are going to change. One of the key things that we tell clients that come into the Uptown United and the Uptown Business Center is make sure you consistently check in on your business plan. If you don't have a business plan, you should develop one. It's really important for you to write out what your long-term vision is for your business, what your goals are, what the strategies are that you're going to take to implement and reach your goal. It's really important that you have it as a living, breathing document. We have a number of clients that come in that have been working at home and may have an online platform and are very much looking to get into the physical space. That may not have necessarily been a part of the original plan. So we always encourage you as you're going along and developing your business to check in with yourself, check in with your business plan and adjust it as needed. It's really important to keep in mind that going from working from home or popping up in an incubator space or even just having a strictly online type of platform, as soon as you decide to go into a physical storefront, your operations are going to change. There are inherently different costs that you must build into your business plan and most importantly, your financial projections before you take the serious steps of considering, exploring, and entering into any sort of commercial lease agreement for a storefront. So really examine your business plan and where you are, especially if you're in your infancy or you're in an early startup stage, meaning you're within just a couple years of establishment. How are your financials going? Are you year over year growing? Are you on the path of continued growth? What are the next steps that you need to take in order to continue to growth? Flip it too, is your year over year in the negative? Why is that? What changes do you need to make? When you think about going into a commercial storefront, there are several areas that you need to consider financially when doing your financial projections. One, what are your projected sales revenues? And you really need to ground them in reality. Two is, what is your rent payment going to be? What is it that you can afford while still ensuring that your sales revenue is going to exceed your expenses? So what is the rent that you're comfortable paying on a monthly basis? One thing that trips folks up when they come in to meet with us is that you also have to factor in potential utility costs and property taxes when it comes to commercial leases. I can't stress enough that commercial lease agreements are vastly different than residential agreements. What is covered and what is the responsibility of the tenant versus what is responsible by the property owner are very different in commercial lease agreements than they are in residential agreements. Residential, you may have some rents where utilities are all included. Commercial doesn't necessarily work that way. There are varying degrees and types of commercial lease agreements you can enter into, which factor in how much of utilities you're either required for or are built into your rent, how much the property taxes are covered under your lease agreement or are paid for by the property owner. These are things that when clients come to us, that they're most surprised about is that, oh my gosh, I have to pay the property taxes too. Yes, every building in the city in Cook County has some sort of property tax tied to it, and particularly in commercial lease agreements, the property owner will decide if they themselves are going to pay all the property taxes or if they're going to pass the cost of the ground floor commercial space down to you, the tenant. So it's really important, and I'll get into what you need to think about when you find a physical space, but you have to factor in property taxes into your financial projections for year over year. Another thing people tend to forget are your repairs. You need to factor in additional costs into your financial projections about general building maintenance. What not only for your equipment that could potentially go wrong, but your fixtures, window cleaning, signage, all these different things go into activating your storefront and keeping it in good repair. You have to factor all those costs when you do a financial projection. One of the resources that we consistently send folks to is SCORE for their business planning and financial planning toolkit. If you're not familiar with SCORE, towards the end of the presentation, I'll drop in the link to business plan templates that you could utilize to really get down to the brass tacks of what it is that you need to factor in when coming up with your financial projections, either if you're brand new as an entrepreneur or you're getting ready to take that next step into moving into a commercial space. So you've done a check-in of your business plan. You're feeling like, okay, yes, I think Storefront may be the right choice for me. Before you even get I'm gonna search Zillow or online for a space, really dive into who your target customer is. If you are a product of some sort in which you anticipate in-person transactions occurring, who's your target customer? Are you looking to be on a highly trafficked commercial corridor? Are you okay with maybe being in a less traveled commercial corridor or an industrial area and then selling in a pop-up shop, or do you need your own brick and mortar? And who's the customer? Are they driving to you? Are they walking to you? It's really important to get a sense of how big of a market area, if you will, you should be considering when thinking about a storefront. It's really important to also know who your competitors are and where your competitors are located. We often will tell folks, Google Maps or just go onto Google and type in what your concept is and see what things kind of come up. It's obviously easier in the food space to get a sense of what types of restaurants are around different areas or food incubator spaces. But if you're in the retail sector, such as clothing, art, stationery, all like anything physical that's not food, you might want to explore local chamber of commerce business directories. Organizations like ours, Uptown Chamber, and my colleagues that run chambers have complete directories of members. And it could be a good way for you if you have a general idea of what neck of the woods or what part of the city you want to be in, to just take a look at the chamber directory. You'll get a sense there of, does this business already exist? If so, how many of them are there? Where are they located? What are the size? You can kind of scope them out. You want to scope out your competition. Or the flip side to that is, okay, you've checked a Chamber of Commerce website, no one's there. Maybe that's something for you to consider. You could potentially be the first in the market, which also has some risks associated with it too. As you think about narrowing down in a potential area, and even if you are in the growth stage of your business, it's really important for you to assess and continue to refine what separates you from your competitor. Especially in the food space, there are so many different restaurants. What is the reason that folks will choose you over somebody else? Or what is it that you do that potentially complements the other businesses along the corridor in the Chamber of Commerce? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself. And then depending what space you're in, what business space you are in, sometimes reach out to those companies or those storefronts or those restaurants. Go physically check it out. Go walk in, explore if it is a public-facing storefront, what the feel is like. How do they display things? What is the customer experience like? Right now, retail is shifting. Meaning what types of retail you see in commercial corridors. And particularly here in Uptown, we're getting a lot of interest in more experiential type of things that are tactical, things that trigger the senses. We've had one individual who's thinking about doing an escape room. We've also had, as part of our vacant storefront activation grant, a pop-up organization called Popcraft, which does tufting. So it's one of those storefronts where you can go and sign up for a class with your friends or your colleagues, and then you can make your own rugs. Experiential has become like a really big thing. And it's one of those things where you can just kind of go in as you're considering for your own business. What's the experience like as a customer? We also had someone pop up who is a famed mosaic artist, Jim Backer, or Bachor, excuse me, and he's the mosaic pothole guy. And so going into his store, you can now get a sense of, how do you display things? What does it look like from the street? These are all good experiences for you as a business owner to test run and have as you are conceptualizing what your next step is, so that you go into any sort of search for a property knowing the direction that you want your business to go. Now, I am going to pop over. I'm going to unshare my screen for a second because I have a really cool website I want to show you to help identify potential customers and the demographics of your customers. If you don't have a sense of where to find data on your target market, so expendable income, disposable income, the age demographics around certain geographies. I need to find a place that's near transit and consider what 5, 10, 15-minute drive times, what those populations are. I've got a website for you. It is completely free. It is from Cook County. They have a website called, let me stop sharing my screen for a second from the deck, and I will pull up the other screen so that you can see it. They have a free website, which is called Cook Central. And I will drop this link in the chat so that everybody gets access to it. This is a great opportunity for you to take a look at free data on consumers. So you would scroll down here and you would go to Connect to Cook and you would click Explore. And this is when the fun starts to happen. Please excuse my nerdiness. My background is in urban planning, and I did real estate market research for many, many years, and data is my thing. So I get super excited when I talk about this and sharing it with folks. So you'll get in here. This is what it looks like. You type in an address. I'm going to type in my office address right here, and I'm going to click enter, and it is going to pull up a map like this. It looks just like a Google map, right? What's really cool about this is that I can now click over here where it says add rings, drive times, or bands. And I can say, I want to do, let's do drive times from my office. And let's just say 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I want to know who's in that drive time, because within this potential storefront, I want to know what the customer base is going to be. And if that customer base is my customer base. So I'm going to put that in, I'm going to hit apply. And all of this, there's tutorials on the website you can get in there. It's going to pull up a really interesting map like this. And so they use all this different type of algorithmic data to identify what the drive times are. And while that may not be interesting to you, what is interesting is then you go to reports, and they have a whole variety of reports that you can pull, from census data to businesses that are located within those specific areas. They have a demographic and income profile. So I'm going to look at that one because I want to know within that drive time what the demographics are. So now in future, so they'll give me projections, because remember, you're a business owner and you are doing multi-year projections. You're not doing single year projections. And it's going to pull up a very cool report like this. And I am hoping I can zoom in for you all so that you can see what this looks like. But it's going to give me the population. It's going to give me the average household size. I'm going to keep scrolling down. It's going to give me the income levels. You as a business owner need to understand who your customer base is, what the disposable income is that's needed to purchase your products. And this could give you a sense of, is this the area that you want to be in? Now, I will say a full caveat is that you got to take data with a grain of salt. So do not use this as Bible. This is just a tool for you to put in your toolbox to explore different types of metrics that will help you as a business owner determine where would be the best place for you to go and who's your customer. So I will put that in the chat when in a little bit. So you've done all that market research. You've identified where your competitors are located. You've identified what their experience that you have in that space is. You've identified within your business plan what you're able to afford for potential rent, for utilities, for property taxes and future repairs. You factored in what your revenue projections are going to be over a multi-year period. And now you are to a point where, okay, you feel like moving to a storefront is the right next step for your business to continue growing. You've done potentially the pop-up space, you've popped up at farmers markets, you've participated in programs like ours, the Vacant Storefront Activation Grant. You're ready to go. You know where your customers are. The first thing we like to tell folks is reach out to your local Chamber of Commerce or a Chicago Business Center, which is one of 8 outposts, if you will, from the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protections, and we can help you identify available property for free. One of the things that I like to tell folks that the value we bring to our chamber members and folks that are looking into coming into Uptown is that we have relationships with building owners. My colleagues across the city that work in this space, either in an economic development organization or a chamber of commerce, have fairly intimate knowledge of the status of the buildings and where things are, and if not, have a very strong professional relationship with the building owners. And we can help cultivate lists for you of available properties that potentially meet your criteria. So always, always, always check with a Chicago Business Center or a Chamber of Commerce on potential available properties once you've identified the area of the city that you want to be in. Before you do anything beyond looking at spaces, it is extremely important for you to double check the zoning of the potential location. Now, zoning is one of those topics that can make your eyes glaze over, myself included, even though I have studied zoning, in that there are restrictions and guidelines within this administrative document that dictate what type of business can go where in every single part of the city. Some business types are not permitted in certain parts of the city. For example, in industrial zoning, there's not residential is not typically allowed in industrial type of spaces. In certain types of commercial zoning, you can't have manufacturing, or you can't have certain types of entertainment uses or noxious automotive types of uses. So the zoning code really is there to help ensure the health and integrity of folks living in the city, and to ensure that there aren't conflicting uses adjacent to each other. So I'm going to just pause right here, and I'm going to show you how you can check the zoning of the potential property. So the City of Chicago's Department of Planning and Development has what's called the zoning code map on their website. And I will drop the link towards the end of the presentation so that you can check it out. What you do when you get there is you just put in the address of the potential property that you are considering, and it will pop up. So this is the address of our office here in Uptown, and you will see this little dot will pop up. And I click on the dot, and this bar over here is going to open up, and it's going to tell me my zoning is B3-2. So B zoning is traditional commercial zoning, as is C zoning. But there are differences between the two, so it's really important for you to check the business zoning guide to determine if your use is permitted in this exact location. How do you do that, you ask? Because this is not easy to follow. And I agree, this is not easy to follow. This is where colleagues like Chambers of Commerce and Chicago Business Centers can be most helpful to you, because we can help delineate and explain what the zoning means. You can, and I excuse the flip, I'm going to flip over, the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protections consolidated and put into a single document. It's called the Business Zoning Guide. So once you identify what that zoning is, you're narrowing it down, you can go to this document, which I will put a link to in the chat. Excuse my scroll. And what it's going to do here is identify every single different type of use and show you by zoning district, meaning commercial zoning versus residential zoning versus industrial manufacturing zoning, what is allowed and what is not allowed. So in this document, I'm an art studio or gallery. Okay, I'm a gallery owner, and I want to now open a physical space, and I saw that location said B3-2. I'm now going to check here. Oh, art galleries. Here I am. Going to find B3. Yes, here's B3. What does green mean? Green means it is permitted by right, meaning you could enter into a lease agreement and you are allowed to operate your business without any interference and or authorization beyond city licensing and permitting to operate in this business. Permitting meaning any type of building renovations that you need to do. So it's really important that you look at this, because there are some commercial districts where certain uses are not allowed. The most common topic that you might hear about is called a special use permit. It is commonly required for barbershops, hair salons, amongst other things. And that requires an extra step for you to take to identify and get approval to operate in your desired location. So it is of utmost importance that you check the zoning before you enter into any sort of commercial lease agreement. We have had several clients come in, they've already signed the commercial lease, and then they double check the zoning and find out that they're not actually permitted there. And it just creates this ripple effect. So you are on top of it, you're doing your due diligence, and you're going to double check that zoning before you ever consider stepping in and touring the property. So now you've double checked the zonings, go explore the spaces, see what the commercial corridors are like, if it's the right feel for your business. We strongly encourage entrepreneurs, micro, small size, to get a commercial broker on their team along with a real estate attorney. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, commercial real estate leases are significantly different than residential leases. It is verbiage that sometimes makes my eyes glaze over. And even through this vacant storefront activation grant, we had one of our board members who is a real estate attorney review the lease on our behalf, because even as I was reading it, I'm like, some of this doesn't sound right. You need someone else to double check for you, because they will have your best interest in mind and can help you negotiate terms that are more favorable and protect you as a commercial tenant. So we always say it is an expense to have a commercial real estate attorney. It is an expense it is an investment that is 100% worth it, because it can save you like future challenges down the road. So highly, highly, highly recommend that you get some sort of a commercial real estate attorney or broker on your team. If you need referrals, talk to your local chambers of commerce. They are one of the best resources that you could have in identifying local folks within the neighborhood who could provide the service for you. So highly recommend you check out your chambers of commerce. Now, one thing to consider before you are getting to narrow down any sort of location is, as you think about locations, see if your location is located within a special service area or a small business improvement fund district. What are these terms? In short, these are basically funding mechanisms potentially for you to help offset costs for any sort of renovation that you may want to make for your business. And you can get that information from your local chambers of commerce. Uptown United is the special service area provider for Uptown. We have approximately 15 miles of sidewalk, so we're quite large. But one of the programs we offer, and many of our colleagues across the city offer, facade rebate programs, meaning if like the exterior of your building needs fixed, we could potentially rebate back a portion of the costs. Or you need a new sign for the space, we could potentially rebate back or give you back a portion of the costs associated with it. That is something that could potentially help you, your bottom line, and it is 100% worth looking into it. So here's just a quick look at what the zoning guide looks like. And you'll recall that I had shown you it before. And here's another screenshot of it, and I will go ahead and drop that in the chat. So you started narrowing it down. You have a location kind of focused. You've done the walkthrough. Have you started factoring in any potential renovation or cosmetic costs or permitting when it comes to your space? Some places look great on the outside, and then you start getting in and they're significantly more work. Or you walk into a space and it is what they call vanilla box ready, meaning you can literally just walk in and just do any sort of small cosmetic kind of stuff that you need to make the space feel like the brand and experience that you're wanting your customer to have when they walk into your storefront. So you need to come up with a plan. And then you need to ensure that when you are ready to like you're to sign the lease and you are ready to make some sort of renovation, or you're about to, I don't know, potentially participate in the small business improvement fund program, that if you need any sort of capital to make these necessary renovations or even just general operating costs, that your financial reports and taxes are ready to go for loan consideration. We have learned along the way that there are some really great tax accountants out there that can help show negative income when you go to file your taxes. But the opposite's true when it comes to trying to get loans. We work very closely with small banks like Wintrust and Huntington here, and folks will tell us businesses have got to have their taxes ready to go and show some sort of revenue in order to be ready for any type of loan. So as you're thinking about entering into a commercial space, are you in the financial position to take on any sort of necessary loans that are needed to make renovation costs, or, you know, not even just renovation costs, but like a small business, like an SBA loan for materials, for just general operating? You have to be capitalized, meaning you have to have some sort of revenue coming in and shown on your tax returns in order to show to the bank that, yeah, you can handle this loan and you're going to be able to pay it back. And with that in mind, it's really, really important that you shop around. If you're going to do any sort of renovation, one, always have a really great contractor and get multiple quotes. Always get multiple quotes, but also do that with your bankers. Your small business banker is going to be the person who's working alongside of you every step of the way, especially as you're moving into a commercial storefront. You want to build a really great relationship with them. And so not every banker is the right fit for you, depending on what your business model is. So we highly encourage you to explore different banks. There's tons of banks out there. I mean, there's the big ones that we all know and see the commercials for, like Chase or Bank of America, but there's also smaller branches. Like Wintrust has so many neighborhood branches, Great Lakes Credit Union. Your smaller neighborhood banking institutions could be a better fit for you. Stop in, talk to a banker about what it is that you're looking to do, what type of capital you may potentially need in order to move into the commercial storefront space. Some of these bankers may even have the experience with small business improvement fund programs and could be an excellent resource for you, like through that process, if you land in a commercial storefront that happens to be in one of those districts. So really shop around. Don't go with the first one. Always ask critical questions of how, like what their success rate is. Really do some vetting, what their loan origination process is, what's required, what the timing is. It is in your best interest to ask very critical questions and find the best banking partner for you. And I would say to do the same for any type of contractor that you're looking to partner with. Always, always, always get multiple quotes. That way, you know, you're getting the best value, because all of those costs will need to be factored into your financial plan. And as I said earlier, affect your bottom line. So you know what your sales revenue projections are going to be, but all those other things all those other expenses add up. And first couple of years are always tough when you get into storefront. So you need to make sure you're getting the best value for these capital improvements that you're making for your space. So some things that we have learned along the way are incomplete information inherently slows everything down. That goes from lease agreements to applications for your permits, meaning if you're going to do any type of work on the inside of the building, to even your business license application. If you submit something that is incomplete or it has some sort of error on it, even unbeknownst to you, it will literally just slow the process down and add significantly more time to your process. So we have folks that come in that are very eager to get in, and it's your business. You're passionate about it. You are ready to go. We encourage you just to stop for a second, breathe, and really look at all the details before you submit anything to ensure the accuracy of it. Building permits are going to take time. If you get into a commercial storefront, they just inherently take time. But as it was said at the top, you can submit things online too. There's different portals that you can submit for online applications or permits. Just make sure you have all the information complete, and just know too, it's always going to take longer than you expect. Even if you submit it accurately, everything is just going to take longer. Right now, I'm hearing building permits are approximately 60 to 90 days to get. And, obviously there's variations of that depending on what the permit is, the scope of the work is. But you need to build in that time to your business plan and what your expected opening date is. We've worked very closely with a new coffee shop that has opened up here in Uptown. They signed their lease. It's 2024. We've been working with them for over 2 years to find a space. I think they secured the lease at least a year and a half ago, and have been going through what's called the Small Business Improvement Fund program. And it has taken to now, it's been a year and a half long process. Granted, this business did do a design change along the way. They were going through some rebranding after they had signed the commercial lease. So that just inherently slowed the entire process down. And so you should just expect any sort of storefront operation to take time. Especially if you're going into a space that is a bit rough on the inside. You should plan for it to take several months to get in there. It's not going to be overnight. Just erase that from your mind. You're not going to get into a space overnight, especially if you want to put your own flair into the space, which we encourage you to do, because right now it's all about customer experience and what it feels and looks like on the inside. So some folks don't plan for it, but you're on top of it. You are going to plan a longer timeline to ensure that things are done the way you want them to be done in a very fiscally responsible way. So I'm going to stop sharing my deck, and I'm going to show you some resources that you should, and I will put into the chat, find valuable as you go through this process. So as you're gonna consider storefronts and you are going to be looking for assistance, go to your local chambers of commerce and see if they have what is called a special service area. Now, let me pull up our special service area webpage so that you can see what I'm talking about. Everything that you see here in yellow is what is called a special service area. It's a special district where all building owners, property owners within this defined area come together and they agree to tax themselves just a little bit more so that they can get services that go above and beyond what the city offers, like street cleaning, garbage removal, graffiti removal, etc. So everyone in this area, for example, if you were coming to look in Uptown, I would encourage you to look for somewhere that is in the yellow, because what we are able to offer you are curb appeal rebate programs, or if you're a food business, you want a sidewalk cafe, we can offer that. A lot of our colleagues offer very similar things, or security rebates. So we encourage you to really take a look in the area that is desired if there is a special service area, because that could potentially help offset some of the costs that it takes to get into a commercial space. So I just wanted to flag that for you. And also, when talking with your local chamber of commerce, see if they have lists of contractors who are tried and true referrals that you could talk to. Or they maybe ask them about a business that recently did a renovation and reach out to that business owner and see who they used, if they were happy with them, especially if it's an aesthetic that you like. It's always great to go with referrals when it comes to contractors. So just wanted to flag the special service areas as an opportunity and place for you to look. And then I will say, I have been talking about SPIF, Small Business Improvement Fund. This is a very unique tool that's in the Department of Planning and Development's toolkit to help support our small businesses and help activate our commercial storefronts. We are actually hosting here in Uptown a SPIF 101 in partnership with Summer Corp and Wintrust Bank to get into the nitty-gritty and potential one-on-one assistance when it comes to SPIF applications. We can help answer all your questions as it relates to commercial renovations within the confines of this particular program. So I just wanted to flag that for you all. Some of our colleagues in different parts of the city will also offer similar programming. So reach out to your local chambers of commerce, see if they have any rebate programs like this available. See if they have any sort of pop-up opportunity available. We were flooded, I mean, flooded with small business owners that were looking to test the market by participating in our small business, in our storefront activation program. See if there is an opportunity like this within your local chamber of commerce that can help you see whether or not you are truly ready to go into a storefront. Are you ready, as you think about your business operations, to be at the store for set periods of time? Are you ready to address whatever issues come up on the weekends? Are you ready financially and operationally and managerially to hire staff and to manage staff? Are you prepared to interact with customers on a really regular basis? Pop-up programs like the Vacant Storefront Activation Program are a great way for you to test the market and see whether or not at this point in your business life cycle, are you indeed ready to be in a storefront? One thing to really keep in mind, and I'm going to keep saying it, is that commercial real estate leases are vastly different than residential leases. You know, residential leases are often 1 year to 18 months. Sometimes you get 2 years. Commercial leases are like 3 to 5 year commitments. So you have to be really sure that your financial plans and projections and your business plans for the next 3 to 5 years align with going into a commercial storefront, because it is an enormous financial commitment. Is the payoff that you have more exposure? 100%. Are there new challenges and growth opportunities? 100%. But it's really important for you to realize how long of a commitment commercial storefront lease agreements are, as opposed to working from home or working in an incubator space, if you will. So these are important factors that, because you were here today, you now know, and you are going to take these into consideration as you're exploring whether or not you should enter into a storefront. And with that, I see that there are some questions in the chat. So let's just get started. BACP, do you want to go ahead and ask the questions, or would you like me to go ahead and go through the chat? Yes, I will just go ahead and get started. All right. So there's a specific question about what's a good space for a daycare or school. This is one where you're going to need to check the zoning code on what is permitted, because there's different types of daycare schools. For example, in daycares, there's home-based daycares, and then there's commercial daycares. So check the zoning guide for where you want to be as to whether or not that would be a good fit for your potential operation. Okay, there is a question about what would that website, so I'm assuming you're talking about Connect to Cook, include ethnic demographics, because I would like to open. Yes, it should have, and let me drop in the chat now, ethnicity projections. At least it used to. I will say that it used to have languages spoken is one of those key census reports. You can even actually go on the census website and type in City of Chicago, or you can put in the zip code, or if you have, if you know what the census tract is for the area that you're looking for, you can go easily on the census's website and pull all this demographic data. It's a bit of a slog, but it's all publicly available information. So let me drop in the chat right now the Connect to Cook link so that you all can have it. Again, this is a free resource where you can type in the address of your business, and I'm going to just quickly explore to see if they have ethnic or languages spoken. I don't exactly see it on this, but I haven't done a deep dive to know, but it is absolutely worth you exploring Connect to Cook to know and get into the weeds a bit more when it comes to the data as you're considering who your target market base is. What were the names of the assistants you mentioned for renovation? So when it comes to, let me pull up our page. This is for Uptown specific. So now I know all of you are not focused on Uptown. Maybe some of you are, and welcome. But this link that I just posted in the chat is a link to what we call rebate programs. And so our organization and many organizations like ours that operate a special service area will have some level of what they call curb appeal. So the exterior, it's all about the exterior. So some type of exterior grant rebate where you go to them and say, it's going to cost me, I don't know, approximately $3,000 for new windows that are going to be energy efficient, and it's for my restaurant, and they're going to open up, so it means more indoor-outdoor seating. You go to your SSA, if they have this particular rebate, and they could potentially approve up to maybe 50% of the cost back. You're not seeing, I'm not sure you're posting to everyone because, oh, you're right. Thank you for calling me out. As a panelist, I have different chat functionalities. So thank you for letting me know that you can't see the link. So let me repost the links for you here. Here again is the Cook County Connect to Cook data. Here is the rebate programs that we here in Uptown offer. Again, go talk to your local Chamber of Commerce. See if they have what's called a special service area, and if they offer something of this nature, see if they have what's called a SPIF, a Small Business Improvement Fund, because this could potentially be another avenue for you to get necessary renovation costs rebated back to you. So hopefully you all see those now. I've switched it to everyone as opposed to host and panelist. Okay. Does it matter to be sorry, it just scrolled. Does it matter to be a resident on the north side to get support from the Chamber of Commerce? No, it does not. We are open to anybody that is interested in potentially locating in Uptown that may not live in Uptown. The Uptown Business Center's geography is significantly larger than the city or than our Uptown service area. It actually services the entire north side. Let me pull up on the deck a list of your Chicago business centers that you can reach out to. BACP, I'm not sure if this deck is going to be shared out or not, but if you all have an opportunity to maybe screenshot this particular slide, these are the 8 Chicago business centers that cover the entire city. So we all provide some varying degrees of support around business licensing support, permitting, zoning, etc. So all the information that you're getting from me, you're likely able to get something similar from one of these organizations in your portion of or area of the city, or your local Chamber of Commerce should be able to help answer those questions too. Okay, let me go back to the chat. Do you know any business centers or coaches that can help us go over the details, what is needed to move forward? I would say yes, SCORE is a really great resource. I'm going to put SCORE and their templates in here. SCORE is as a national organization, and they have SCORE Chicago. So just take a look at this and peruse this, and they have mentors that are available. Some of our Chicago business centers do provide one-on-one targeted coaching in this manner. Kylie from our team is very skilled in the permitting aspect and business planning and the digital media presence aspect. So explore your Chicago business centers. Take a look at SCORE. Women's Business Development Center is also another fantastic resource for when it comes to one-on-one coaching. So I encourage you to look there as well. Okay, let me also put in the chat before I forget the link to the business zoning guide, because you all need to have the business zoning guide readily available to ensure that your potential business is allowed to operate in the desired storefront that you want to be in. So hopefully you all have those documents. I will drop in the chat Kylie's page for the Uptown Business Center. Take a look to see all the different types of services that are provided. Everything is free. There's no catch when you work with the Chicago Business Center. And for that matter, we don't charge either for our members to get one-on-one assistance, or if you're considering coming to Uptown to become a business owner in a storefront, we provide all of our services for free. What's the name of the Women's Business Development Center? Let me do a quick pull that up for you. They're another really great organization. Actually, one of their former executives, I think, is now a part of BACP. So it's a great resource to have available. I will say that if you're getting into the stage of your business where you are seriously considering a storefront, another great organization that is a Chicago Business Center that does financial coaching as well is Allies for Community Business. I'm going to drop the link to them in the chat. They are a really great partner of ours to help you work through either getting a small micro loan if that's needed, or even just connecting with a coach. They're another really fantastic resource. Q&A. Oh, got to go to the Q&A. Sorry about that. Okay, let me see. Yes, resources have been dropped in the chat. What is the annual cost to become a member of the Uptown Chamber? Do you still think it's worth a member if you're still 1 year out or currently? I will say for not just the Uptown Chamber, like we're one of the one of the oldest at almost 101 years old. We also have one of the lowest rates. We're about 175 for a year. I think that there is great value in chamber membership, whether it's Uptown or in your local neighborhood, for the business to business aspect and the networking and getting the visibility and all the connections that you get out of it. There is something to be said about being at a networking event where you're able to connect with folks and share your personal story, what your vision is, and you don't know who you're going to meet and what could potentially come from there. And each Chamber of Commerce offers different services too. So see, depending on which area you're at, if it's the right fit. If you're looking even for shared space, if you're looking for commercial kitchen shared space, if you're looking for even just shared office space, you know, we in Uptown could be a great resource for you. But it all comes down to where you are, what it is that you want to do next with your business, and do you think that the services that a Chamber of Commerce can provide you are going to help get you to that next level? Want to be mindful of time. What if you want to own, looking to open up beauty suites in the near suite? Oh, that's a great question. Commercial condo ownership is a whole different ballgame. It does exist. I would say work with a commercial broker to help identify where there are commercial properties that are condominiumized, basically. because that's a different pool of properties that you're going to be able to look from. So I would suggest you work with a commercial broker to find that listing information if it is really important for you to own the commercial space that you are in. What about a medical office? Would I need to check the zoning area? Yes. Double check depending on what it is that you're wanting to offer. Most commercial, like dentist, spa, medical users are typically fall under B and C zoning, but it is always important to double check your zoning. Can chambers of commerce help with SBA loans? Chambers of commerce don't offer SBA loans, but we can help you through the process in ensuring that as you go through the review period that you have all the necessary documents. I highly suggest that you reach out to the Allies for Community Business, your local banks like Wintrust. Sometimes those small banks will also offer their own programs and one-on-one sessions to help you get loan ready. That's actually something that we at Uptown Business Center are working on right now, is a loan ready program with partners at Wintrust and other banks to help break down what all you need to have ready when you are wanting to go to a bank to obtain a loan. So if you subscribe to our newsletter or to Kylie at Uptown Business Center, you'll be able to get more details on that. But reach out to your local bank and have the conversation. A really great banker is going to sit down with you and take the time to understand who you are as a business owner and be candid with you about the challenges, what's needed, and all the factors that you have to consider as you're doing your financial planning before you decide to pull the trigger on any type of commercial lease. So I think I got all of the answers in the Q&A, and I hope that I got everybody in the chat. BACP, I'm not sure. They said this is going to be recorded, so you'll be able to view this on BACP's YouTube page, I believe. Always available to answer questions. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. If you think of anything in the interim, I will also put in our Chicago Business Center representative, Kylie, if you wish to reach out to her with questions. Again, highly recommend you reach out to your local chamber of commerce before you even set foot in any sort of commercial space, just to get a sense of what are the options that are available to you, if there's any financial rebates that are available to you as a business owner, and your referrals for a real estate attorney so that you are thoroughly protected when it comes to any sort of lease negotiations. Well, with that, I thank you all for being here. Hopefully you were able to, my email's in the chat. I am Sarah with Explore Uptown at exploreuptown.org. I'm part of Uptown United, Uptown Chamber. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you all so much.
Hey, Sarah, did you answer all of the questions in the chat? Oh, I can't hear you.
I muted myself. I answered all the questions in the chat and the
Okay.
Q&A. Yes.
Even the Q&A? Okay,
I
cool.
got the Q&A. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for your presentation today. And I hope all of our attendees got the much needed information. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you will automatically receive credit for your attendance today. To learn more about our upcoming webinars, please visit chicago.gov/BACP certificate. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.